The first committee meeting is the Utilities Chair, Mr. Ruckman, to discuss Resolution 2026-63, the Clinton Township Water and Sewer District to abolish it.
Abolition, yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. We've allowed ourselves a little bit of extra time because this is something that not everyone is horribly familiar with. And as a result, we're going to go through and kind of lay out the context and what it is that this is aiming to do. Mr. Salyers.
Thank you, Mr. Ruckman. Mr. Sherman, if you would, thank you. If you'll hit that. Beautiful. Did it. Okay. All right. So I want to take a second to recognize that we do have with us the president of the Area Development Foundation in the room, Mr. Filkins, and two township trustees from Clinton Township in the room. At the end of the presentation, if you'd like to recognize a couple of those folks to come up here and to talk about how the city and the township are in alignment on this process, that would be, I think a good idea. We also have a resident who, through a conversation today, made me add this next slide. So before we move forward, really the whole conversation that we're going to have today is removing the middleman, right? And before we do, I acknowledge that I've broken every rule of a PowerPoint or a slideshow presentation, but I also recognize that this will be provided to the media, so I want the full picture there if somebody is reading it outside of this room. So, adjustment of the township fee, right? We are talking about utility rates and utility service in Clinton Township. So before we begin, some background of how we got to this conversation. In December of 2025, the Clinton Water and Sewer District, now that is separate from the Clinton Township trustees. The Clinton Township Water and Sewer District apparently voted to reduce the township fee, which is currently sitting at $20.14, by $5. We were not brought into this discussion, even though we, being the city and our utility team, or the auditor's office, was not brought into this discussion, even though we are the entity that collects that fee and then disperses it back to the Water and Sewer District. So we were informed around the Christmas holiday when a board member dropped off an unsigned press release on the desk of the utility billing office. I'll be totally direct with you. Literally anybody in this room could come in and do that, and I would have no, field of reference to, like, I could drop off a press release into the IRS saying I don't pay taxes anymore. That's really not how that works.
How that's supposed to work is spelled out in the contract we have with them.
Thank you. This began conversations, nevertheless, and due diligence, and frankly, some happenstances that were just kind of lucky that led us to this point. We found in all of that their assets, they being the Clinton Water and Sewer District, their assets were greater than their debt. And the $5 per month, this slide was almost titled, Where's My $5? Their assets and the $5 per month reduction was not sufficient, when in reality, they didn't need to be charging anybody anything. So regardless of the outcome, I just want to throw this out there because I know that there are some people that are paying attention to their bill and they think, hey, where's my $5 per month? Regardless of the outcome, the conversation that we have, the city will be working on adjusting that Clinton Township bill to account for the January through June billing cycles, where rates should be $15.14 per month, not $20.14 per month. Nevertheless, we are committed to going further to work with the township to set this fee and this board to see that it's eliminated in its entirety. So, with that said, we're going to keep moving forward, Mr. Sherman. So, why we're even talking about this. So, let's get some clarity out here. The Clinton Township Water and Sewer District has largely outlived its original purpose and now serves as an unnecessary layer between the utility customers, the township, the city, and the Ohio Water Development Authority, or OWDA. For purposes of this presentation, I will refer to the Clinton Township Water and Sewer District as the district and the Ohio Water Development Authority as OWDA. You're going to see a lot of acronyms throughout this for obvious reasons. The district was created to facilitate utility infrastructure and financing at a time when such a structure was necessary to extend services into portions of Clinton Township. But over time, what's important is direction and circumstances have changed. Water and sewer service is provided through Mount Vernon's utility system. The city operates the infrastructure and possesses the technical, financial, and operational capacity to manage utility services. The district remains primarily a legal and financial entity. So the question before you, council, is does the district continue to provide value to its residents or ratepayers, or has it become an unnecessary layer of government that complicates city and township administration, planning, and growth? Next slide. So, how we got here. This discussion is not new. The usefulness of the Clinton Water and Sewer District has long been in question, and the limited purpose it serves does not hold up to scrutiny. Over the last several years, city and township officials, legal counsel, and OWDA representatives have explored options to simplify the existing structure and have discussed early debt retirements. The primary issue was establishing a debt structure acceptable to OWDA while ensuring fairness to both Clinton Township residents and Mount Vernon utility customers. This presentation you're about to hear builds upon those prior efforts that result in savings to Clinton Township ratepayers and provide avenues to clean drinking water and reliable sanitary sewer. And I think that's what the people of Clinton Township want. They want savings in their pockets, they want access to clean drinking water, and they want reliable sanitary sewer. Everything else you're going to hear is noise when you talk to an average person in Clinton Township. For Mount Vernon ratepayers, an expansion of our distribution system, collections and distribution, I should say, serves to support the fiscal integrity of the utility, as we have an entirely unused clarifier that supports about 3.5, you'll see MGD, that's million gallons a day, about 3.5 million gallons a day that's not supporting the system, and missed revenue related to development, be it residential, commercial, or industrial. That's money left on the table that we're just not accessing. So what's the current financial structure? Clinton Township ratepayers are supporting a governmental structure that creates administrative complexity without corresponding public benefit. Is the juice worth the squeeze? No. Today, utility customers are affected by multiple overlapping entities in Clinton Township: the City of Mount Vernon, Clinton Township, with their elected representatives, the Clinton Water and Sewer District, and OWDA, which is basically financing everything. Each layer introduces administrative oversight, financial accounting requirements, legal obligations, and long-term planning challenges. So residents ultimately bear the cost of this complexity, whereas a simplified structure would allow resources to be focused on infrastructure development, service quality, and future investment rather than administrative duplication. So let's look at the nitty-gritty of what residents are paying for. Ratepayers in Clinton Township are assessed $20.14 per month. Where'd he go? That's enough out of this guy. All right. But that is currently what's on the bill. The point of that is to cover two outstanding OWDA loans. One with a balance of $51,000 and $51,865.20. The interest on that is 6.39% with a maturation date of July 1st of this year. It's almost done. And another with a balance of $144,914.89, roughly just under 5% interest rate with a maturation date of January 1st of 2031. So close to being mature on that. Per the district's own CPA, they currently have, so you're looking at around $200,000. They currently have more than $348,000 on hand. exceeding the amount of debt that they currently hold. Residents should clearly understand where their money's going, and I don't know that that level of transparency is being extended to the ratepayers of Clinton Township. Current charges support operation of water facilities, assuming they have water access, operation of sewer facilities, assuming that they have that, infrastructure maintenance, debt service obligations, capital planning, and administrative requirements. That's what, if you have access to any of these things, whether you're in Mount Vernon, you're in Clinton Township, or whatnot, that's what your charges go to. Many residents assume all utility costs directly support utility operations. In reality, a portion of those costs exist because the district's separate legal and financial structure. The goal is not to avoid legal obligations and legitimate obligations. The goal is to ensure obligations are managed through the most efficient structure possible. Is that what is happening? No. You don't have to go to some far-flung, struggling country to find dry wells in the summer, or wells that contain undrinkable water because of E. coli hits. You can find them in South Vernon. And if there is a government structure that is in the way of eliminating that problem, it's the Clinton Water and Sewer District, because of their aggressive and unnecessary fees, not only in the monthly charges, but in additional tap and capacity fees. And if that's the case and we allow it to continue, shame on them, shame on us. Why the current structure impedes progress? The district creates barriers that make it hard to plan for the future. Modern utility systems must be able to expand service areas, support housing development, support commercial growth, and coordinate infrastructure investments. If that's what the township wants. This is an unelected body. These two right here are elected members of the township's legislative executive body. The current arrangement creates uncertainty regarding asset ownership. I like to joke, whose line is it anyway, right? They own the lines, but the district owns the lines that are in the ground. But at the same time, you'll find that at the end of those two lines are Mount Vernon plants. Debt responsibility, expansion authority, and long-term planning. Every significant project requires navigating multiple governmental entities. That slows decision-making processes. It increases legal costs. It creates uncertainty for developers and investors. And when I say developers, I don't want anybody getting these visions in their head of thousands of doors. I'm talking about mom and pop shops. I'm talking about small businesses. I'm talking about churches. I'm talking about mom and pops. I'm talking about literally just residential communities just trying to decide what next month's going to look like on their utility bill. Communities that flourish operate under clear utility governance structures, and the current structure works against that objective. So the impact on Clinton Township residents deserve a system that is simpler, more transparent, and financially sustainable. Maintaining this district, keeping everything the way that it is, creates several challenges. Resources continue to be spent maintaining a separate governmental entity. The district has limited capacity to independently address major infrastructure needs. Debt remains tied to a relatively small customer base. As infrastructure ages, future improvements become more difficult to finance through small district structure. Residents deserve a system that positions them for future success rather than preserving an outdated framework. And residents deserve meaningful monthly savings, not $5 off, and capital planning through elected representatives, not an antiquated structure that has little authority outside the existence of its own debt. So what's the impact on Mount Vernon's utility enterprise as you are leaders for Mount Vernon? The district limits the city's ability to maximize the value of its own utility system. The city of Mount Vernon operates one of the community's most important public assets, its water and wastewater utility enterprise. Utility systems anywhere succeed when they plan regionally, expand strategically, and leverage economies of scale. and when they maintain strong financial performance. This district limits those advantages. Because of responsibilities remaining divided, infrastructure planning becomes more complicated, capital investment becomes more difficult, and growth opportunities become harder to pursue. A contractual relationship with the township allows the utility to operate more efficiently and support future development throughout the region. Our water plant, just so you're aware, was built for 14 million gallons per day. We have two 3.5 million gallons per day clarifiers, one of which sits totally empty. So what would this transition look like? How would this work? The proposal protects ratepayers while simplifying government, a novel concept. How this would work would be the abolition or the abolishment of the Clinton Township Water and Sewer District by a vote of, here's the catch, 3 paid board members of the Clinton Water and Sewer District. I'd like to hearken back to a quote by the Gipper, Ronald Reagan. Nothing is closer to eternal life than a temporary government program. So we are going to ask 3 paid board members to stop, dare I say it, the gravy train. The township assumes the owner of the district assets. Hear that properly. The township, not the city. The township will take township control of township assets. That's township ratepayers giving over things that they have paid for, ceding that authority to their elected representatives. Some power grab. The city likely assumes responsibility for servicing the existing OWDA debt, subject to OWDA approval. The township, through a contract, and all this would be done simultaneously, the township would then agree to reimburse the city for the full debt obligation, and that debt is either retired immediately if it's financially advantageous, or paid according to its existing amortization schedule. So this approach allows debt to be managed by the entity with the strongest financial capacity, that's the city. We have the 2 plants at the end of those lines, while ensuring that the responsibility remains appropriately assigned. So let's go ahead and get out in front of these common concerns that you're going to hear before anybody even throws them at you. So, is this a Mount Vernon bailout of Clinton Township? No. The Clinton Township debt remains fully payable by Clinton Township. These are ratepayers who have already paid enough to retire the debt, and then some. Will residents lose service? No, they will not. Services are already provided through Mount Vernon's utility system, and it is very likely that services will be expanded to those who choose them and at a much more affordable rate. Why change anything? Because maintaining an unnecessary government structure creates unnecessary costs, inefficiencies, and barriers to future growth to the detriment of many and for the reward of, and I underline this, very, very few. And this one's my favorite one. Isn't this just a ploy for Mount Vernon to annex more of Clinton Township? Of course not. The city is already the utility provider in this area. We collect over $270,000 annually for the Clinton Water and Sewer District fee, which would be eliminated. And even if we were to continue to collect it, the expense to wholesale annex large swaths of Clinton Township would cost much more than that $270,000. We are, however, to be very transparent, very interested with working with the township via a jointly ratified contract on expanding services in the township for clean drinking water and reliable sanitary sewer, just like we have done in the past and just like we're currently doing with our OPWC projects. Where is the chase and how do I cut to it? Another way of saying this is too long, didn't read the rest of this. Let's get to the point. Clinton, you're welcome, Bruce. Glad to see you're still with us. All right. Clinton Water and Sewer District has more money than it has debt. Just pay it off. Why save everyone $5 per month when you could save everyone $20.14 or $15.14 per month? Frankly, why cut it down to $15.14 per month and let everybody get comfortable paying $15.14 per month, right? Well, that's not so bad. Yes, it is. You don't need to pay anything. This is unnecessary. Stop doing this to people. The people of Clinton Township have elected representatives to manage capital projects and infrastructure planning. They are the Clinton Township trustees. Nobody needs an unelected and unaccountable board in between their representatives and the city. Let's stop doing it this way and score a victory for everyone. My least favorite phrases is, well, we've always done it this way. Oh. Questions, comments, concerns?
I assume
Council.
you've talked to the elected officials of Clinton Township. What's their stance on this?
I'm glad you asked that, Bruce. 2 of them are in the room.
What's that?
2 of them are in the room with us.
I know, I see that.
Would either one of you like to address?
Just one other clarification. They're paying 2014 above their normal water rate.
So they have a flat rate, like the city pays.
Okay.
Right? There's a flat rate, and then there's consumption.
Okay.
Then they also have a 40% out-of-city charge, all right, which is a standard. An out-of-city charge is standard for basically any municipal water system that has customers that are out of the municipality, right? Then they pay an additional $20.14 per month. And then, if you'll allow me, there are, maybe you're familiar with capacity fees, tap fees, things like that. All right. There is not one of those for water for this district, but there is one for wastewater. So if you want to tap into, we run a line down your road in Clinton Township, right? If you want to join up, not only are you paying exorbitantly more per month in Clinton Township, but you also got to not only pay that tap fee, which can be, taxing for a lot of folks, you got to pay even more because you're in Clinton Township. And in some areas that are low to moderate income, this is just unsustainable, incapable. So you're seeing some areas that we have how many, 21 rate codes for Clinton Township, which is, I don't know that a water system or a wastewater system, any sort of utility system, should have 21 rate codes, period, let alone for one township. But you have areas that have access to water, it's running through their front yard, and they don't pay for it. Now, there could be a handful of folks that are just obstinate and don't want it. It is what it is. But I'd say the bigger story is that people can't afford to tap into the water that's in their front yard. That is a failed bureaucracy. That's what that is.
Yes. Is this working?
Yep.
All right. I'm Jay Manners, for any of you that don't know me. But the Clinton Township water has been a long, painful topic. Bruce, yeah, it goes way back. And we won't dive into all the miscalculations by former people that caused it to exist, but it does exist. And the district was set up to pay off the debt that was incurred to put in the sewer lines. Now, and I believe, what'd you tell me, 28,000 medium income? 26,000 is the median home income for most of this area. That's a tight budget, okay? That's a very tight budget. And our goal is to take care of our citizens. So now that we understand, according to Tanner here, the debt is capable of being paid off, we support paying the debt off and alleviating this pain to the citizens that have been living there. They have struggled to pay this for a long time. And our goal is to see that alleviated as soon as possible, along with the $4,000 tap fee, which just makes it even harder to draw people into the community and maybe raise that median income some. So it's been a battle all the way around. And just today, I mean, I bet you the number one question we get, Donna, is about water and sewer. Today, one of our new businesses, I won't mention, stopped me on the street to yell at me about $20.14. And that's common, and we can do nothing about it. So the gentlemen that are in charge of the district right now will be the ones that will have to step up to the plate, make the decisions, and move forward with this. But we can only encourage them, and we're letting you know that that's our goal. Any questions? Comments? I'm not
Counsel?
being thrown out? Good.
So what clout do we have if it's really in, their park or our park? I mean, if we pass this resolution, what's that mean?
That shows a willingness for the city to engage in a contractual agreement with, and now we have to work out that contractual agreement, and we've discussed that. And what that framework will look like, we have not even begun to start drafting that. But that is a green light on the city's behalf, not only from the administration, but from the legislative body, to say, we believe that this antiquated system is not serving either the residents of Mount Vernon, the ratepayers here, or the ratepayers in Clinton Township. And there is a partnership. I mean, nobody sees that imaginary wall between the railroad tracks. And there is a real opportunity for both Clinton Township and the city of Mount Vernon to move forward here. And we've got a real roadblock in the way.
So like you said, it's like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there's a lot of track delay to get there. So there's going to be a lot of things that have to be put into place to do this correctly. And our legal counsel's been talking to us, and so there'll be a lot to do. But the key thing is to get the board, the water board, to want to move forward with this and encourage them to do so. And they can kind of step up to be the heroes. They'll get the chance to be the ones that retire this pain that has been inflicted on our citizens for so long.
So again, I guess the question that I want to make sure before we vote on this is, if the board does not vote itself out of existence, we aren't leaving Clinton Township high and dry, are we?
It's a good water pun. No.
Didn't
That's
even,
one.
yeah.
Everybody gets one, Taylor. No, that is not our plan, but I'm glad you brought that up, because they are under the impression, and Jay, maybe you can back me up here, they are under the impression that even after the expiration of this debt, they're ready to come back and sit at the table and go another round with us. On behalf of the Clinton Water and Sewer District, yeah. On behalf of the administration, we're not interested in entertaining that. And we would like council to back us up with that. And not only back us up, but back the Mount Vernon ratepayers and back the people of Clinton Township up with that and say, no, if we're doing a partnership, it's going to be with the elected representatives of Clinton Township who we deal with OPWC projects, who we deal with anything as small as street sweeping. These are the elected body, these are the elected representatives of the people of Clinton Township, not this de facto board that exists via contract and debt that's about to retire anyway. Get it out of here. Do the people of Clinton Township a favor and let it expire so we can work directly together via a contract.
And I can say that this goes way back, many, many moons. There was some distrust among the city and townships as far as annexation and things going on, probably before you were born, Mr. Ruckman. But that being said, so we want to make sure we present this and we walk this out so that people feel safe and that they're not going to be, walked into something that's not good for them. So we want to make sure that they're fully aware that everything on their side is going to be taken care of, and the city is going to work with us to make sure they're taken care of going forward. And then we'll beat them up on the 40% charge later.
And I want to point that out too. That's why I keep emphasizing that there will be a contract. Our legal counsel, their legal counsel, and by the way, their legal counsel is the county prosecutor. So we will sit down and we will negotiate what that future will look like. So it won't just be well, you can trust him. He was over there, flicking a nickel, and he said everything would be fine. No, this will be, there will be a functional process that we have, recourse to discuss everything moving forward. So it's not just going to be a handshake deal. There is simply an outdated entity that is charging ratepayers more than it needs to charge. It has more assets than debt. It's time to put it to bed. If they can give all the assets to the township, we're ready to move on. And I think this would be a very popular thing with ratepayers in Clinton Township.
Hey, Mr. Ruckman, you're well beyond your time limit.
It's only 10 minutes.
It's for a second reading tonight, we can't suspend the rules.
No, it's only up for a second reading this evening, so this also provides an opportunity if anybody on council has questions, please get them to us, because we'll be giving it a second reading this evening, and if we see fit to do another committee meeting the next time round, we can do that. Would love to hear those if you do have them, so.
Right. Well, we're going to adjourn that committee meeting. We're going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Ruckman, for the resolution 2026-56 and 57 on utilities aggregation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So getting into this, I have a couple of actually the next couple of committee meetings, so forgive my indulgence there. I think we'll make it up fairly easy on the next three. So with this one we discussed last time, this is up for a third reading this evening, Resolution 2026-56 and 57, which has to do with natural gas aggregation and also electric aggregation. Mr. Snavely? Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, good to see everybody.
Yeah, does anybody on council have questions? I did not receive anybody, and nobody had reached out to me, I don't believe, but now would be the time to ask those questions if you do have them.
From what I heard last time, this is a win-win.
I think so. I mean, from what I've been able to see, I think it puts a lot of us on the same page. It sounds like Fredericktown, I believe, passed the aggregation agreement, I believe, one of their last meetings.
That last week, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I had read that, so it sounds like they did. So we would actually be second in line, I guess, at this point, but would help put us all on the same page. And like you said, Mr. President, I think largely it could be chalked up to a win-win, so.
So I will say that I've had a couple of questions on this from council, one of which was, if for whatever reason we don't like, just so you know, the commissioners are not tasked with negotiating these rates. Our joint broker, which is Palmer Energy, who Mr. Snavely represents, they are still the negotiator for these, still the broker. So basically, the only thing that the commissioners are doing is essentially signing on our behalf.
Yeah, and I'll consult. We're consultants for the OML and Ohio Municipal League and County Commissioners Association of Ohio, and this is kind of like a joint partnership with that. And so, yeah, not only are we looking to, grow the program by the villages and cities and, hopefully townships down the line in the county, but also working with counties surrounding Knox County to eventually get more than one county on a single contract. So just scaling it up, the more participation you get, the more households you can put in an aggregation, the better pricing you can get.
And you had mentioned Licking County and Muskingum.
Yeah, those are two counties that are currently, participating in the program. As far as whether they would be with Knox County, they're in the same region, so they could be. We're kind of figuring out what makes sense. A lot of that has to be done by similar utilities and things of that nature. But yes, I mean that's something. Those are two counties that will definitely be participating.
Question, what is the max number of years an aggregation contract can be, and what are we looking to do?
Aggregation, so for electric, generally it's 12, 24, or 36 months. And as far as what we'll look at doing, right now, currently we have a 12-month contract that expires in December. So we'll be looking past that, or looking to go forward with that. We'll get RFP results. We'll review those with the commissioners. Hopefully, the cities and villages participating will have somebody in those meetings. Welcome to encourage that. And then we'll make a recommendation to the commissioners for the cities and villages participating. it's hard to know at this point without getting the pricing back, because that kind of determines that. But generally 12, 24, or 36 months.
Should there be an instance where the commissioners go rogue and we don't like what they're doing, we can always rescind this order and do our own thing. But I don't anticipate that being a thing. Like I said, the commissioners every commissioner's office is very involved in the CCAO, the County Commissioners Association of Ohio. Palmer is the representative, the consultant for aggregation for the CCAO, as they are for OML, which we are heavily involved with. So it naturally makes sense that we would sign up for this and that we would kind of go under the umbrella as a Knox County entity. And like Mr. Snavely said, it's not so much that we're just doing this for Knox County, is as we build the aggregation power of Knox County, then we will jointly create a region with other counties who they are to be determined. But as we build that aggregation, that just puts more money in people's pocket. So this is kind of one of those bread and butter wins for Mount Vernon and Knox County residents.
Just for clarification, residents won't have to participate. They'll still be able
They
to.
can opt out.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No fee, can opt out or in at any time.
I would, as we say when we talk about our own local aggregation, I would opt out at your own risk, because oftentimes folks get sweetheart deals in the mail that have the fine print in the back, and you would be hard pressed to find a larger aggregation than the one that the city, or in this case, a year out from now, that a regional, quadpartite county, I don't even know what that would be called, but I would approach that with some great hesitancy. But hey, if you find a better deal, go for it.
All right. Any other questions from council?
Okay. Mr. Ruckman, we're gonna join that committee. We're gonna turn the next committee over to you also. It's Mrs. Skeener's committee, but you're sending it for her tonight for ordinance 2026-16, reclassifying exempt professional positions.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we're going through and talking about ordinance 2026-16. This was only a 5-minute committee meeting because this basically was centered around just giving council an opportunity to ask questions if they had come up with anything at this point in time. If you don't, Tanner, did you want to say something? You get it?
Nope, I'm
Okay.
good.
I was going to say, that one seemed pretty black and white, but we did want to allow an opportunity in case anybody did have questions. So, anybody at all?
No questions?
If not, we're making up time.
Okay, we're gonna go to ordinance number 2026-20. Back to Mr. Ruckman on changes to 3 city positions.
Yes, this is another 5-minute committee meeting. Tanner, do you want to go ahead and give us a quick rundown and summary of this?
Yes, there are changes with conversations that happen between both the administration and different members of council. We have adjusted certain duties of 3 members of the administration, support staff to the administration, I would say, from full-time positions to part-time positions. One of those is the administrative assistant to the mayor, or the assistant to the mayor. That is going from a full-time position to a part-time position with a starting wage of $18 per hour. Then there is the administrative assistant to the safety service director. That is going from a full-time position to a part-time position with a starting wage of $18 per hour. I have actually already hired that position at a part-time position, assuming that this would pass. So you met, welcome back, Mr. Sherman, but you met Ms. Swain last week. She is the new administrative assistant to the safety service director. She works part-time. Her starting position was $18 per hour. So we've already adopted that, via administrative authority. The next position is a reclassification. It's a little bit different. The other positions, their titles remain the same, but this one is a reclassification of a position. So the title is changing, and a lot of the duties have been kind of drifted into other positions over time. So for instance, The community development PIO took over a lot of the fundraising and certain expectations that the full-time, we made a deal with council 2 years ago. When it didn't pan out, we held our end of the bargain, and we took those into a different direction, and we are bringing this back down from less of a contract. We had a recreation director. When it was contract, we took it up to a full-time recreation director. We are now taking it down to a recreation coordinator. I think that is a more equitable title for this position. Director implies that there's a full department, a staff, a budget. It's not accurate for the city of Mount Vernon. So a more appropriate title would be recreation coordinator. We've adjusted the expectations and job duties and breadth of work, scope of work. And now that is down to a part-time position. And you see that starting wage there. And then additionally, we have a contract scope for cleaning all of our facilities, public buildings and lands. That falls outside of our staff in public works. So we contract that out. We are desperately trying to stay in that contract without having to go out to bid. But as we grow as a city, especially as we add a 36,000 square foot police department, there's no way we're going to be able to cost contain and really have a direct control over the efficacy of that contract. So what we would like to do is look for 5 part-time staff members to essentially be a custodial crew. And I'll be honest with you, with the job market the way that it is, this is a test. I don't know how. Our goal is to, 1, be more effective in the way that we clean our facilities, and 2, save money. I don't know if we can do both of those. So I would just want to be transparent and honest with everybody here. But that's the goal of this legislation, Mr. Ruckman.
All right, thank you very much. This is only up for a second reading this evening, so
If you
that's
have
not
any
anything we're going to
other
be voting
questions.
on this evening. And if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to reach out with those. So I believe that does it.
Okay, you're done. Okay, we're gonna move now to Streets and Public Buildings, Mr. Severance, to discuss, the lease for 9.5 East High Street.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I believe, are you
Yep,
talking about
I can
this?
do it too.
I didn't
All
know if it was you or Mr. Borens, or both, but either way.
Pretty
go
easy.
for it.
So you are familiar with the green building that Bo Lacey will be going in on the Togger block, yes?
They already have gone in, yeah.
Right. So I don't know how in the building they are. They've been talking about moving in. They may be permanently in that. I know Bo Lacey was wanting to use the ground floor as an office showroom. They had the entirety of that building leased. They've determined that they do not need the top floor. That's the half of 9 1/2 East High Street. So as they have vacated the top portion of that, we have decided to simply lease that portion out for Advocates for Children, which is an LLC that advocates for children, aptly named. Yeah.
What's on the first floor again?
Bo Lacey.
Construction.
Home repair.
Questions?
What was in there, or what has been in there?
It's been numerous things. It was Willie and Wade at one time. It was the public defender's office. It was another law firm for a while.
Spalding and Kitzler,
Yeah.
There will be a companion piece to this for 9 because we'll be reducing their rent a little bit, although the total rent paid on the 2 pieces will actually increase.
So we'll ultimately make more money on the entirety of the facility, but Bo Lacey's, they're not renting the entirety of the facility, so of course we'll adjust their lease.
And we did determine that we did not need a public hearing on this, correct? Yeah.
No, not for.
Unless you have something else to add, or any council members have any questions on this, I think this is a smart way to go for us.
Hey, we're 20 seconds ahead of time.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna adjourn the committee meetings. We're now in recess until 7:30 PM. We begin the legislative